creating a bike-friendly campus, a bee-friendly campus, just to name a few of the things that JMU is trying to engage in to promote sustainability.
VCC Talks is a new clean energy podcast brought to you by Virginia Clean Cities in collaboration with WTJU Community Radio Station in Charlottesville, Virginia. In it, host Ella Sher seeks unique personal and professional perspectives on the current landscape of alternative fuels from their guests. Recorded on Tuesday, July 8th, please enjoy today's podcast with Dr. Keith Holland, Associate Vice President for Research and Economic Development, or REDi, at James Madison University. Hi everyone, welcome back to VCC Talks. Today, we are going to be exploring clean energy from the perspective of a higher education professional, Dr. Keith Holland from JMU. Dr. Holland has served as the Associate Vice President for Research and Economic Development, or REDi, at JMU since 2009, and has taught multiple courses in engineering design. His personal research is in the field of mechanical and aerospace engineering, and surrounds the research and development of remote chemical sensors. We are incredibly grateful to have you on the show today, Dr. Holland. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me, Ella. This is really exciting and a great opportunity to share what universities like JMU can do to support this work.
Absolutely. We'll just go ahead and dive right into the questions a little bit, but could you share a little bit of how your professional training in aerospace engineering prepared you for your current role as Associate Vice President for Research and Economic Development at JMU?
Sure. I think, as with many people's stories, it's a twisted path to get to where one is in any given location. So I have an affinity for the place that I work. I'm at JMU, and I got my undergraduate degree in integrated science and technology from James Madison University. At that time, as a first-generation student, the things that I learned, the interactions that I had during my time at university really compelled me to want to study further. So after that time, I pursued my master's degree in aerospace engineering at the University of Virginia. Through happenstance and sort of a desire to want to continue on, as well as sort of a pleasant surprise that happened along the way with some funding opportunities, I stayed on for my PhD. And one of those happy occurrences was that as the master's student, I was doing some work on atmospheric sensing. And that atmospheric sensing work led me to question, are there cheaper, more effective ways to do this type of work? So in the course of my studies and in my research work, I came up with a method that we could do effectively a similar quality of measurement of atmospheric chemicals in a more cost-effective way. And that led to me kind of exploring the path of how to get a patent and how to start or be a part of a company to produce those products. And then that kind of led down the path of, well, I'll get my PhD and kind of continue to go from there. So after I finished my PhD program, I continued to work with this startup company and actually got to see my product that I had a hand in developing go from the laboratory benchtop all the way through to commercial production and sales worldwide. So this was, a really transformative experience. Unfortunately, economic realities of the industry and the technology led to a need to change in the 2008 economic downturn. But then I had a really cool opportunity again to come back to JMU and be a part of the early formation of the Department of Engineering. So to answer your question, I think that academic pathway and then the experience in a startup company really kind of gives me perspective, both from the academic side as well as from the research side. And, small businesses, new technology ventures are sort of the foundation and backbone of our innovation economy in the United States. So I think those experiences have really, propelled me and compelled me to contribute to our Office of Research, Economic Development, and Innovation at James Madison.
Absolutely. And that's such a fantastic project. I guess my next question would be, is that typical of projects through the REDi team and that the REDi team supports?
Well, I think it's something that we are growing into as an emerging research institution. Just recently, a couple of years ago, designated as a Carnegie R2 institution with high research activity. That's what our goal is within the Division of Research, Economic Development, and Innovation, are to build the support structures for our faculty, for our students, and for our community to increase and have those types of experiences where we're taking fundamental science research or sociological research and human research into implementation for economic impact and for societal impact. So our office supports all of the comprehensive services associated with the research enterprise, from ideation in our research development office, where we're looking to match researcher interest with funding opportunities that are available, proposal development and submission, providing the fiscal services and the compliance oversight services that are required for a lot of these programs. And then, sort of on the economic development side, we follow a model of economic impact that is based on a framework of talent, innovation, and place. Universities' value to a region and to a state and to the nation are from the talent pipelines that we produce in our students. The entire pipeline of innovation from, again, basic research and fundamental research all the way up through commercialization of some of those research products. And then how do we contribute to the sense of place, well-being of people in our communities? So within the Economic Development Division, we have folks that are focusing on those placemaking activities, on the talent development pipelines, and on the intellectual property and commercialization pipelines. And then the third leg of that stool, if you will, is our innovation piece of our portfolio, which is creating pathways for faculty and for students to create, to imagine, to take some risks, both in curricular opportunities and co-curricular opportunities. So some good examples of that are the JMU X Labs, which serves as an interdisciplinary collaboration space, partnering with industry and businesses to imagine new products in kind of a safe environment and to experience sort of the entrepreneurial pathways that are available, as well as promoting students and faculty and researchers for awards. So really, as we continue to build out capacity as a research institution, that's what the division is really focused on, is providing the supports, providing the mechanisms to allow people to dream and to see their intellectual pursuits have an impact.
Yeah, that's spectacular. And alongside the interdisciplinary, I really like that word. How have your interdisciplinary pursuits sort of informed your current view on alternative fuels and more so clean energy, stepping away from the research side?
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't want to step away too much from the research side, because from the research side, that's the foundation. Oftentimes, the foundational research takes 10, 15, 20 years until it's fully developed to actually have the impact and potential. And we need to continue to invest in that inquiry and in that discovery process. So, I think that's number one. Are the great things that we're going to see 20 years from now are happening right now in our university laboratories and research centers. But in addition to that, to make alternative fuels and alternative energy options available, it takes a village, right? It's not just a scientific endeavor. It's not just about what the physics tells you. It's not just about how you put the pieces and parts together, but it's also about the perceptions. It's about how people are willing to adopt and change habits or change their perspective and change their consumer behaviors. And all of those pieces and parts play into how we transition and continue to evolve our use of technology, and particularly clean energy technologies.
That is such a perfect segue into my next question because, you have the research element. So what do you sort of do with that after that's been festering a little bit? It's the educational piece. So what should educational institutions like JMU or other regional institutions be doing in the field of clean fuels or sustainability more generally? And then the second part to that, after you're done with that question, is what does the reality of that look like, whether it be at JMU or in other experiences you've had?
Right. Well, there are, certainly practical things that institutions can be doing and are actively pursuing in terms of their infrastructure, to be contributing partners in clean energy transitions. And I'll speak to that specifically about what JMU is doing in that space. But really, where I see the most significant contributions are coming in the core principles of what universities were established for: education, research, and providing support infrastructure to make that happen, right? So again, going back to the talent, innovation, and place economic development framework, I see that in a very similar light for alternative and clean energy technologies, right? Our institutions are producing the workforce of tomorrow. So our foremost responsibility is to educate them not only about the technologies themselves and the scientific principles, but also the financial and economic impacts and the societal benefits, engage them in some of the debates and help them to develop their understanding of what this transitionary period means, what clean fuels and sustainable practices mean for the future. So I think, that's number one is education and the talent that we're producing and preparing them to lead in this environment. Second space is, again, that research space. I'll go back to fundamental game-changing technologies are 20 years from now are being developed currently through the research pipelines that our institutions are supporting. And then third, there's the active reality of how do institutions support current motion. A lot of that work occurs at JMU through our facilities management. So how are we using energy? How are we deploying the fleets of vehicles at our institution in ways that are sustainable? How are we building buildings? So, JMU has a number of LEED certified buildings. So in our building practices and when we work with contractors, that's an important element. I must say this is not my primary area, so I would direct you to others at the institution. But certainly in our research enterprise, we are supporting the Institute for the Stewardship of the Natural World and our facilities group in sort of executing some of our goals. Along the educational front too, there are things like installing solar panels and allowing access for students to kind of understand and utilize that technology in their research and their educational experiences, building out the natural forest, some of the areas on campus, creating a bike-friendly campus, a bee-friendly campus, just to name a few of the things that JMU is trying to engage in to promote sustainability.
That's fantastic. I had no idea JMU was a bee-friendly campus.
It is.
That's amazing. Stepping a little bit away from that into your personal pursuits, in prior years, you've served as faculty advisor to the NASA student launch team at JMU. And similarly, you were a co-advisor for the DOE Collegiate Wind Competition for 5 years. So how has your involvement in these projects shaped your philosophy on how people working in crisis-related fields like climate can use their passions to find moments of joy or relief outside of work? And how important is that?
Thank you for that question. I truly enjoy those projects. The number one reason for coming back out of the corporate startup world for me was to have the opportunity to interact with students and create those moments of joy. Both the student launch project with NASA, that's sort of rooted in my training as an aerospace engineer. And I do have a passion for wind energy technologies. So the Collegiate Wind Competition is a great way to, again, hit on the primary way that we are preparing the future workforce to be knowledgeable and understanding of clean energy technologies or technologies in general. None of those projects can be successful without an interdisciplinary approach. So in addition to the engineering that has to go into those systems design challenges, there's a marketing component, there's an education and outreach component to them, not only embedded in those competition aspects, but also in just the general execution. And I think that's a really great way to help prepare our students and provide them with work-based learning types of simulations to how they're going to have to team and how they're going to have to work across disciplines with others who have different expertise and how to kind of bring those together to create a really fantastic and exciting result, as well as how to work across conflict. And we certainly know in this space, there's a lot of disagreement over what the future can hold and should hold and how we should progress along these pathways. Those provide moments of joy for me as an educator and as a technologist, really to see kind of the spark in the upcoming generations come alive when they realize that their training matters and what they have been educated to do matters, but also what their peers in a completely different discipline bring to the table and how, when you combine those two, magical things can happen.
Absolutely. I think all educators need to have that sort of passion, but that's really nice to hear. So, looking back at your experiences, is there a particular key initiative or project you've started that has made you especially proud? I'm sorry if we've already touched on it.
No, I had trouble choosing. I think each of the big projects that I'm going to name, so I'm not playing by the rules here, each of the projects I'm going to name have had an impact on me. First is going back to my experience in graduate school, going through the process of obtaining a patent, creating a company. That was a fortunate accident that all of that happened, but that really ignited sort of my passion for innovation and creation, as well as economic development and the impact that startups and small businesses have, both regionally as well as globally. I would say the second thing that I'm proud of is being one of the early members in the JMU Department of Engineering. So, as the engineering department was developing, being a part of forming the goals, objectives, the curriculum, and really, I love and enjoy my time interacting with students in that space. And then, the third project, if you can call it a project, for the past 7 years has really been the transformation, being a part of the transformation of the Research, Economic Development, and Innovation Division here at JMU. Again, there's been a lot of pieces and parts that have gone into that, but I'm still in the midst of that. But I think there have been some great outcomes so far, and we're looking forward to many more to come.
Yeah, that's spectacular. I know the entire Commonwealth can't wait to see where JMU sort of ends up in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of research and also sports, but research primarily, because really, I mean, you guys are doing such an excellent job up there. So congrats on that. What is your best advice for young researchers in the field of sustainable technologies, hoping to pursue a career in it, but not knowing exactly where to begin as a seasoned professional? What do you think is your best advice?
It's emerging. So I'm going to go back to the same themes that I've had in the alternative fuels and renewable and sustainable technologies field, or sustainability in general. The field needs all types and all types of people who are passionate about what they're doing, what they're trying to achieve. So please, first of all, do not feel like it's only technology and engineering and science. There's a wide range. So first of all, that's advice number one. Second, I would say network, network, network. And if being a part of a particular company or a particular field is important to you, figure out who the key players are in that space, make sure that you're showing up and vocalizing and telling people that this is a space that I want to be in. Again, doesn't have to be all technology based, right? You can be an excellent communicator. We need folks in finance. There are plenty of places to contribute. A lot of it is just showing up and letting people know about your passions and interests. So I think those would be the two things: is try a lot of things. And I guess third advice is make sure that you can demonstrate your ability to work across multifunctional teams and interdisciplinary teams.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that advice as a history major in undergrad. I think there's plenty of research to be done in every discipline that you encounter. So that's really great advice there.
And communication is so critical and important in everything that we do, and particularly in technology fields. So honing communication skills, I'm not sure I'm always the best at it, but figuring it out and being willing to try is an important step.
Absolutely. Awesome. So we're approaching our last question here. So I would just like to take a sec to thank you so much, Dr. Holland, for coming on the show today, answering all the questions. I've been sort of battering you with questions lately, but I really do appreciate it, and I really do appreciate your time here today. So,
Oh, well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I always enjoy an opportunity to speak on matters like this and share whatever wisdom I can muster, I guess.
well, it means a lot. So, any last thoughts you'd like to share for today is just my last question here.
The only last thought that I would like to share is my appreciation for what Virginia Clean Cities contributes to the Commonwealth and to the Mid-Atlantic region. Virginia Clean Cities has been a longstanding partner with JMU and our research office. I always enjoy working with them on their projects and supporting their efforts. We look forward to their continued success at promoting clean fuels and sustainability in our regions. And thank you and your team for the work that you do.
Well, I'd have to echo that right back at you. So thank you all. And thank you for coming on the show today, Dr. Holland.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for your time and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Virginia Clean Cities podcast. I'm your host, Ella Sher, and look out for me on new episodes coming soon.